Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for attending. I was worried nobody would show up, so I appreciate you all for being here and participating in this information and input exchange session. My name is Jenny Hall. I'm the grants manager for the City of West Miami, and the purpose for this meeting today is for an application the city is planning to submit to FDOT, which is the Florida Department of Transportation, for the design and construction of upgrades to Southwest 16th Street. That's the only road in West Miami that goes east to west, and it's traveled a lot by everybody, so there's a lot of activity going on. So we want to see how we can make it better to also have it accessible for biking and walkability for the community. So we are here to present to you some ideas from our city engineer, Frank Alonso. He'll be speaking, and please feel free to make your opinions heard, and we want to hear your voices and what you think about the presentation or the proposed project. Thank you very much, all.
All right. Put the PowerPoint up. All right, I'll try not to bore you guys with the PowerPoint too much, so we'll just talk a little bit about the project and kind of go through and show you guys kind of some of the ideas that we have. It's kind of a unique opportunity when we get to plan something like this. It's really the main kind of east-west corridor through the city. It's kind of been underutilized and ignored for a long time. There's been a lot of issues that have come up out there with the school and traffic, obviously, through there. So one of the ideas we've been throwing around for a little while is to really look at the corridor and look at it more as kind of a streetscape, very pedestrian friendly, much more than it is today. Perhaps adding bicycle facilities and really connecting the east and west sides of the city and giving residents somewhere where you can actually walk to businesses, to restaurants. There's been a lot of new restaurants along 57th. We as employees here of the city are always going over there, and we always got to get in our car and go, and it's really not a comfortable avenue to really walk. So the east-west connection is something that's really been ignored, other than traffic calming over the years. There's been a lot of traffic circles, the speed tables, and so forth to slow traffic down, but now we have an opportunity to look at how we can improve people walking through the city. So with that, I'll just kind of go into it. Really, the objective of the project overall is to improve safety and accessibility for pedestrians and for cyclists, east and west. Provide safe access to the school. Obviously, we have three schools actually, if you take into account Biltmore along a section of the road. We have Cooper Park, which is kind of our key location in the city for big events. So it just makes sense really to have this be a much more walkable and pedestrian-friendly corridor. Other kind of things that have come up in the planning as we've discussed this with the county and other agencies, Ludlam Trail is just about ready to get started on their design efforts. If you guys are not familiar with that, I think it's about 9-mile pedestrian bike corridor that's going to go all the way from about Dadeland all the way to basically the 836. And it'll have a lot of amenities for people to walk and bike, similar to what's been going on with the Underline and Metro Rail. So that project is being started now by the county. So the idea of having more east-west connections where people can, not only our residents, but folks from Coral Gables can have a pretty clear east-west path to get to that trail is also very attractive to the county and to help us get funding for this project. That project is actually on 72nd, so it's like 3 or 4 blocks right outside the city, and that'll be hopefully starting within the next couple of years. And of course, beautify the streetscape. Like I said, it's been kind of a ignored corridor. So we want to beautify the corridor and bring it up to something that people are proud of and excited to use, but also respect the folks that are living on the street, which is kind of a bit of a challenge as well. So the project components, there's 2 pieces of the project that we've already had some planning efforts on. We've had traffic studies done for 2 traffic circles on 16th Street, the big one being 16th and 62nd. So we actually did a study showing that the elimination of the traffic signal and putting in a roundabout actually improved traffic capacity while adding, safety and calming features. So that study was submitted to the county. The county's actually approved that project. So now we're looking for funding to move forward with that, and that'll be, just one component of the project. As I've mentioned, obviously adding enhancements for pedestrian and bike accessibility. So we'll look at a few kind of options and ideas that we've been kind of thinking of how to utilize this corridor. And finally, streetscape enhancements, landscape, some parking considerations around the school that we've been looking at, perhaps adding curbing or other elements to further emphasize the road. So as I mentioned, the traffic circle, the one on 62nd, that's already been approved by the county. We still haven't designed it yet. It's still not ready for construction, as we're still got to look for funding now. But the study has been submitted, approved, and the project is ready to move forward. Concurrently with the 62nd Avenue circle, we also looked at a circle on 63rd. So it's kind of a 2-pronged traffic calming machine there in that little corner. So they'll both work together to basically calm traffic as you enter and exit the city. This is a concept that we put together for 63rd Avenue. So these concepts are pretty raw. They're pretty early. Of course, if we end up doing some significant improvements to the overall corridor, these designs will change kind of to accommodate that, to have bike lanes and so forth through them if we end up doing that.
Let me ask you a question while you're telling us.
Sure, yeah.
So on that last design, would you guys consider putting crosswalks across 16th Street? Because like for those of us that live
Yeah.
in Florida Park, for example, it's
For
like
sure.
the scariest part.
For sure, yeah. I mean, the whole idea is if with this traffic calming, then it opens up the possibility to have more accessibility across. And if we're proceeding with the scope of what we're going to talk about today, where we're improving pedestrian connectivity, that's a key element. So, yes. Not really. I mean, we typically use speed tables on the smaller streets. 16th Street is also a county road, so it would have to be approved by them. And this is what's called a half-section road, so it's a pretty major road. They wouldn't allow that. But they would allow the type of improvements that we're proposing.
The stop sign, there's stop sign on 64th.
There's a stop sign on 64th, yeah.
Would this eliminate, because currently there's no stop sign on 64th, right? This eliminate
It would not eliminate the 64th stop sign. We would retain that, yeah. Yeah, there's no stop sign on 63rd or 65th. There's one on 64th. We're,
It's the only one.
yeah, it's the only one, right. So we're not looking at doing one on 65th. I think we've talked to the county about that. The issue with that is just it's a little too close to the 67th intersection. But yeah, I mean.
Isn't that gonna make it easier to take a car down 16th Mill Road? Would that cause more traffic?
The circle? Yes and no. I mean, technically, it does make it easier. It does actually improve traffic flow, which, you really want. One of the challenges that we have, particularly here, and I didn't want to get into this conversation, but I told you traffic, but it's the challenge we've always had here is the east-west and putting in traffic calming, all the people cutting through. I used to work in the Gables, so I was one of the guys cutting through east to west. So you really want people to use 16th Street. You don't want people cutting through 12th and 18th. And so, yes, it will make it easier to use 16th, but that's kind of the purpose of it. It's really to keep people on the major roads and not cutting through neighborhood streets. Yep.
For the few of us that live on 16th
I understood that well, and that's kind of the trade-off. And if we do make 16th more attractive to people driving through it, but at the same time you create it as really if there's a lot of people walking and using it, that in itself causes traffic to slow. So,
I think one of the biggest concerns, I mean, it's, in my case, I'll give you my example, I live on 16th Street at right next to school. At 5, 6 p.m., the traffic is the heaviest, my children are walking.
yeah,
I mean, they're on bicycles,
Yeah.
on scooters, and if you're not, if you can't consider implementing speed bumps, 16th Street people fly by there.
Yeah.
When there isn't traffic, they're flying by.
yeah. So we'll look at some, I'll give you some of the things that we're kind of throwing around, and I'll kind of give my thoughts on how that'll help that situation. So, yeah, we'll just get right into it. So we kind of put together a few ideas of different elements that we would want to incorporate. There's a lot of tools in the toolbox to implement and improve pedestrian accessibility. This is one that we've really seen in a lot of other cities where they've implemented shared use paths. It's hard to say, sorry. Basically, it's a widened sidewalk, but with elements such as you see there on the left side, trying to respect existing trees and landscaping and making it more natural and meandering. So with that, this is one option that we've looked at. The typical sidewalks are 5 feet, so they would range between 8 and 10 feet. Typically, a shared use path minimum would be 8 feet, and that would be in that range.
But really 6, right? Because only 6 is meant for walking.
Yeah, yeah. So,
Shortening the existing.
well, no, you'd keep the existing and basically double the size of the existing sidewalk.
So the existing sidewalk is 8 feet wide?
It's 5 feet. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, let me just preempt that we're not doing anything yet. So that's what we're here for. We're trying to get feedback and see what people, what the residents would really prefer. Now, obviously with doing this, folks that live on 16th, most of you have, 16th is a very large right-of-way for the city. It's a 70-foot right-of-way. Most of our city right-of-ways are like 50 feet. So we have these large green areas in front where today, you could see from the aerial, that's kind of why I printed these out, so you guys can kind of see really from a bird's eye view what the fronts of your homes look like. You have really long driveways, really wide green spaces, and that's why I said initially it's kind of underutilized. Like we have these big wide spaces with this narrow little road and narrow sidewalks, and most of the right of ways taken up by driveways and parking and so forth. So it's an underutilized section that really this would help. No, I have a couple. Yes. Yeah, so the other option is having bike lanes, which obviously we see throughout the county. I'm not a fan of bike lanes, but some people are. So it's kind of the ultimate solution may be a mix of these, because in some cases it may make more sense to use bike lanes. For example, around the school it might make sense to have bike lanes rather than wide sidewalks, whereas I think west of 62nd Avenue, we have a lot of room there, and the wide shared use paths would fit. So I think ultimately the final design is going to be kind of a mix of this and a shared use path, depending on what part of the corridor we're in. It's not going to be one just complete reconstruction. So yeah, so bike lanes, dedicated bike lanes, and a shared use path are options. There's also the options of having shared sharrows, which are basically just stripes on the road to tell people, hey, share the road with a bicycle. Those are not ideal, obviously, and I think we have the room to do better than that, but that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. You have more, yeah, yeah. Yeah, and I wish I had some pictures, because there have been some really nice shared use paths built in Miami where, the what's the side that's dedicated for bikes. They're a different color. They're striped. So it's kind of a clear distinction between where you walk and where you ride bike.
And have you considered also putting curbs
Yeah,
along the?
yeah. I mean, I have one of the ideas that we threw around was actually adding a median. So, you know, this is a little more costly. So, you know, right now with the monies that we're looking at potentially getting for this project, this is probably not an option, just because it, you know, to implement a median would require basically a full reconstruction of the road, new drainage, everything. It is wide enough. I mean, it would fit. It would just push the road out a little further. But a small median would fit. And this is kind of a channelization technique that really helps to slow down traffic. I mean, we've implemented it in a lot of places, and it does help to reduce traffic, believe it or not. So these are kind of three of the components that we've looked at. You know, the shared use path, bike lanes, curbing. I would love to curb the whole street, like just have curb and gutter the whole way. Yeah, it would be beautiful and it would be great, but it's very expensive.
Or, I mean, you would have grassland.
Yeah,
Regardless of
yeah,
the bike, so
yeah.
you would have no grassland allowed, but-
So that's certainly an option. I think on the questionnaire, there's, if you put, that would be great. Yeah, give us that feedback, yeah.
Yeah, unless you can influence the school to have a better system of dropping off kids.
Well, I'll get to the school.
What impact does this have to the property owners on 16th and their property lines?
It won't have any, there's no effect to the actual property line. Like I said, we have a pretty good size right-of-way there, so there would be no need to take right-of-way. It would affect your the front of your home. Obviously, you have your driveway that goes out to the street would be impacted. Your swales would be impacted during construction, but I think at the end of the day, you'd have, you know, a much improved situation. Yeah.
Would the goal be to, like, let's say you go with one of these options here, would the goal be to keep the existing canopy?
100%. Yeah. 100%. I mean, that's like key when we do this stuff, is to protect the existing canopy and try to work around it as much as possible. In certain cases, there may be a situation where we can and we have to remove a tree and mitigate it, but, you know, for the most part, we always seek to protect the trees. Yep.
Would this include also more lighting on 16th Street? Because like right now, I feel like we have a lot of people that.
That's a good point. I did not think about that, but that's a good point. Yep, lighting is important. All right, what else? So yeah, we've kind of delved into some of these, just some of the design challenges that we have. That's kind of a perfect example there of a lot of, you know, cars parking within the swale, how the driveways extend out. So, you know, there would have to be a project like this causes kind of a cultural change with the people that live along there, because you're going to have to adapt to a different situation. So working around, you know, how people currently use the space, the trees that are out there and so forth, are really maintaining the existing canopy, are kind of the key things when we look at it to design. And that's why I say, like, it's not going to be one size fits all. We're going to have to use kind of different elements in different parts of the corridor. School parking, all right. So, yeah. You know, unfortunately, there's not a great solution. You know, we're out there. Yeah. I mean, the issue is that yes, you can put curbs and people will stop parking in front of the homes on 16th. And actually, there was a resolution I think passed last night prohibiting parking in the swales around the school. But people still go. So, you know, and we're, you know, we haven't really been very successful with getting the school to get people to park inside. And so we're looking at kind of ideas of where we can possibly provide parking in the right-of-way.
I'm sure you're aware,
Mhm.
for those of us that live on 16th Street school, I don't know if everybody's aware. I used to be an educator, I'm no longer an educator, so I'm very familiar with like drop off and pick up. And this is not very common in other schools. There's usually a traffic pattern, like a drop off line, pick up line, and like it flows. And
Yeah.
it takes a while for
Yeah.
And these paraprofessionals are not allowed to park in the school. So that's why they're all parking in their houses all day long.
Yeah.
Because they're not allowed in the school lot. So my question to her was, why not? Like, they're part of your staff. We don't have, we don't have manpower to open
yeah.
and close the gate. I'm like, okay, so we're all.
It makes no
s-
sense.
Somebody to open and close the gate.
It makes no sense. Yeah.
Context, that's
Yeah.
what's happening.
Yes. We're aware. I mean, I've been told the same thing, so I understand. I've been out there during the day and counted 30, 40 cars parked out in the right of way. You know, that's something that we need to talk to see if we can talk to the school about, because that response just doesn't make sense, you know.
And what about on like that side of the school, kind of doing like a line?
Yeah, so kind of what we've been thinking, and unfortunately, you can't see it very good on there. Does this thing have a laser pointer? I don't know. So it's kind of hard to see on there, but you have 60th Court here, which one thing that I was thinking is these homes basically front the streets. So perhaps putting on-street parking on the sides of these homes, actual paid on-street parking that's not gonna really chew up that's sort of the park here. And then similarly on 59, there's an area here, and an area on this one here.
I guess my bigger thing, okay, so this lot is empty right now. Like, this is a lot, and that back there is a lot. And there, or sorry, on the side, this is a lot and that is a lot. So, like, can there not be a gate on, what avenue is this, 59? Is that 59? Like, can there not be a gate entrance there for those people to park here? Because it just doesn't make sense that a whole lot is empty and our houses are full of cars. Like,
Wait, so those things that look like roofs, those are actual lots?
on 59, there's two lots. There's a main lot on 16, and there's a lot after it, by the steel. That's empty all day long.
And then to your point as well, yeah, the manager and I have been looking at potentially doing that here.
On their side, yeah,
Their
next
side
to
of
the school.
59, adding on-street parking.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, we can't solve the problems of the school. We can advocate all we can. So from our end, we're looking at solutions that we can provide within the right of way.
Is it a possibility to file a lawsuit against the school?
I'm an engineer, I'm not a lawyer.
I'm just proposing, something a little bit harder.
Yeah.
School, public education.
Yeah, I mean, I heard the same response, and I'm like,
I think it also is
I don't get it,
us,
yeah.
like, more than just that.
Yeah.
Because at the school I worked at Sunset Elementary, and it's like in Coral Gables. And we got people complaining about, you can't use the megaphone at dismissal, all of a sudden we can use the megaphone. We had people saying, I just put in grass, you guys ruined it, we had to replace it, and we had to put no, like, they
Yeah.
put no parking signs, so it is possible. I just think it's like, and I know the principal's being there as well, because I do know this.
Yeah.
It's just gonna take, like, I think more people rallying and saying, like, this, like, find a solution.
Yeah.
And to add to her point, I mean, I think if we live in West Miami, we have credits to pay taxes. So to see our street in the conditions that we are, it's frustrating, it's infuriating.
Yeah.
Like the amount of dirt that gets into my home because grass no longer exists in my home is just outrageous. And I mean, the holidays are coming, I'm sure we're all close to the family. It's unpleasant to know that we
Yeah.
have, $10,000 property tax bill
Yeah.
when outside of my street is pure dirt.
So curbs in front of the school. Let's look at that, yeah.
Not just in front of the school.
No, that's a part of your school, in front of our house.
59 to 66.
Yeah. Yeah.
This road here, we're the first, second, and third house in from the school. And they used to park straight up, right to the gates.
Yeah.
And I allow them to use at least the driveway, because I work from home, so I say, you guys can park in the driveway. But into the grass, I've gone through 4 different attempts to plant flowers, or plant trees, or bushes to prevent them from coming in. And you're right, Jennifer's house, which is our next door neighbor, is a complete mud pile, and
Yeah.
it's so disgusting when you drive through that
Well, I mean, I know, like I said, last night, I don't know if you guys came or saw the meeting, but there was a resolution passed prohibiting parking in your swales, along with, I think it, how far did it go?
So what's the process, because we weren't here, so like, I mean, I also don't wanna call your cops, because like, I feel like they have better things to do all day than come and give people tickets, so.
Yeah, I don't know the details of how that's gonna be enforced, but I know the first step was, there was a resolution passed that prohibits the parking there. The next step is enforcement. That part, I don't know. I don't know how that's.
Community or announced?
It was at commission last night, yeah.
Those are live on YouTube, so.
Yeah, you can actually watch it.
Yeah, you can watch it, but it was, the city will provide decals to identify that you would be able to use either for yourself as the homeowner or for your guests. So we would provide you with decals so that the police will cite. So they're going to be implementing that. I don't know when, but that's what the resolution was relating to yesterday.
So, I mean, that's a first step, at least, to enforce. And then I guess, the next step is to structurally build something that, helps out the situation, so,
I have a question.
yeah.
A lawsuit might be too aggressive, but do you think that as a city, a petition to the school to find a better pickup plan would be the swap? 'Cause I live on 16th Terrace, and I feel like I'm 16th Street 2.0.
Yeah, yeah.
And I don't have people parking on my swale, but every time I drive down 16th Street, I feel for all of you.
Yeah.
I literally live bigger houses, and I think if I had to deal with this, I think I'd sleep out here on the lawn chair to keep people from parking out there. So I would be more than happy to sign something and get.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a great idea, because at the end of the day, it's their responsibility, and they're causing this issue,
I think
you
a
know?
lawsuit costs money for us,
Yeah.
and I also think it's aggressive, right? But I think that if we could put together a petition, I don't think that you have to live on 16th Street to want to better beautify that part of the city.
Okay, I'm just gonna talk. I'm a parent of, 4 kids that go to Sylvania. I'm also the treasurer of the PTA. And I've seen the problems, and I think that it's not necessarily a petition to the school, but possibly the school district. So I would say, to go directly to the district. I know that, Principal Reyes, her main concerns are the safety of the kids. Like, there's a lot of school shootings, and she takes the safety of the children very seriously. So that's why, like, all the gates are locked. So say a teacher wants to go for lunch or has a doctor's appointment and they want to park in the teacher's parking lot, they can't, they have to then have the custodian come and unlock the gate so that they can go out, and then it's an hour that they have for this appointment or lunch or whatever, so then they want to park outside of the gate. The parking that's to the west of the school, that was put in like a long time ago. I talked to Yolanda Aguilar. She was the previous city manager. And she was saying that there was an agreement between the city and the school that was designated for strictly pickup and drop off. And yes, they don't have enough people to man that gate. The city of West Miami Police offered to man that until there was a parking solution. And it was also turned down again. So I know that there needs to be kind of like a meeting of the minds, and I'm trying to help bridge a lot of that with the school. And I think that the petition is a great idea, but I think it shouldn't be directed towards the school. I think it should be directed towards the district, the school district. And Monica Colucci is also trying to help. So, and she's on the school board specifically for our district. But I think if we direct our concerns, because I did get a warning yesterday when I was at a Thanksgiving breakfast with one of my kids, and I got a warning. And I'm like super good friends with the cop that gave me the warning, so I kind of razzed him a little bit. But would say the school is going to jump when the district says.
Okay. And then my next question, you said the parking that was supposed to be used for pickup drop off and that the cops offered to man that gate and it got denied. When you say it got denied, is that something that the city denied or the
That's
school?
the school said no, because if there is a call and the cops do have to abandon it, they don't have the ability. Like, the school is gonna have to trust the cops lock it up, because if the cops have to go to something going on and they leave the gate open, then does leaving that gate open expose the kids to possible dangers and whatnot? And so, if there can't be a guarantee, then the school doesn't wanna risk it.
Okay, and one last question, I promise I'll
I
let
know.
you go. So every time I drive by the school in the morning or after school, there's a specific Miami-Dade County Public Schools officer.
Right,
Is
the
that,
resource officer.
yeah, is that person not able to do, is that person also being called when West Miami PD is called?
No, he deals with a lot of the stuff that's, on campus. So, anything that has to deal with on campus. So if someone's speeding by the school, he has to deal with it. If a parent is sitting there and blocking the drop-off pickup because they feel entitled to just block the whole time thing because they want to get the kid right from the door,
Mhm.
he has to go and ask them to move, you know, like I've seen him have to stop people on foot, on the car, in the rain and everything like that. If there's a kid that, you know, unfortunately, you know, we Baker Act kids here in Florida, super young, if there's a kid having a crisis in there, he has to go in there and deal with the crisis that the kid's
So
dealing
I'm
with.
really quickly, because I know we probably want to finish and move on, but the last thing I will say is like, I know, because I taught that the school where your kids go next, Sylvania
Right,
gets additional funding because they have a high special education population.
they do.
And so this was never a thing, like, we've lived in our house for almost 9 years, and this was not happening. So if additional funding means additional problems for the people around the school, then some of that funding needs to be allocated to house those people that are now afraid to stop. That's what I, like,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna pay for, like, the school getting more money, like, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. Also, it's a school within our community. I mean, at some point or another, most of our residents will have a child in that school. It's a benefit for all of us to figure this out and work together to make this better. Because whether your kid goes there or not, nobody wants to drive down 16th Street and see that mess. You know what I mean?
Right.
Twice
Yeah.
a day,
Yeah.
5 days a week.
No, all day, I mean, really, so, yeah.
All day now, all day.
Can I bring up a separate point altogether about this bike, or giving preferences to this bikeway and connecting it to the Ludlow Trail?
Mm-hmm.
I am firmly opposed to that, and I think a lot of you are too, like,
Yeah.
I don't want any more riffraff in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
We are already a thoroughfare. I don't let my kids play outside unless I park my SUVs in that swale to block them from anyone getting close to them. Because all it takes is one idiot who's on their phone who cuts into our swale, and it happens all the time.
Yeah.
For it to be like a very dangerous situation. So every plan that you're showing me that's cutting further into that buffer really frightens me, because right now my kids play in my backyard, but every once in a while they want to do chalk. They want to do something that requires me to be where there's not grass, which is gonna be fun. And unless we're blocking it off, like, we don't allow them to. We limit it to the weekends because of the speeding on that street. And I'm just worried, like, okay, we're giving preference to these people who don't live here to cut through our neighborhood. We're inviting in people, like, that trail, we don't know who's gonna be using it, and like, it's connecting a very wide part of Miami-Dade County. That is a very different environment. This is a very safe and family-friendly area. Most of us have families here. The reason we pay these property taxes and we wanna live here is because it's safe and family-friendly. And my biggest concern is the impact that having that bike trail will have on safety. Because I will tell you, the few times that I have called the city of West Miami, it's because of the cops. It's because there's someone who walked into my house from the sidewalk, or who was on a bike trying to grab a package from my porch. And I think we're just further inviting those people and giving them prime access to my doorstep rather than, you know, take it to 8th Street, take it to Coral Wave. Like, I don't know why we want to invite them into our, like, the middle of our neighborhood.
Yeah, I agree.
Understood.
These are just proposals, and it doesn't mean that this is gonna be the final answer. Maybe they have like those small buttresses to separate the bike lanes. It doesn't have to be a bike lane, it could just be a larger multi-purpose lane where people could bike.
Yeah, I mean, it could really just be, you know, rather than having bike lanes, it could just be enhancing the sidewalks so that you guys have better access.
Or
Yeah.
wheelchair access, so it's an ADA
Yeah, I mean, I think one thing, you know, to that, like, yeah, just enhancing the sidewalks. We can widen the sidewalks, not necessarily wide enough for bicycles. You know, the road is already for bikes technically, so, you know, we could add striping, sharrows, things like that, where, you know, at least people feel safer on a bike. Yeah, I mean, there's that's a good point. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought about that because really that we have a wide array of driveways. You know, it depends. So for example, if we were to do like a whole curbed section, we would likely reconstruct all the driveways into, you know, concrete uniform driveways. If it remains kind of an open swale, we typically wouldn't do that. So it really kind of depends on what the final. You know, yeah, I mean, we would, I would prefer to kind of, if there were decorative sidewalks where you have stamped, you know, pavers or stamped concrete, we would try to respect that and not, you know, not break them or just cut a certain portion of them. So yeah, I mean, it really kind of depends. Sorry, I don't have a better answer. Mhm. Yeah, we would add, if there's no sidewalk now, I'm not sure the area that you're referring to. 50, oh, 50, okay. So 50, after 59th on the south side, that's actually not the city. So that's, yeah, that's county. So, you know, we would propose our project to the county, and if the county wanted to pitch in and enhance that segment of it and add sidewalk, then we would work with them to do that, obviously. But yeah, we wouldn't, you know, do work in their right of way, in their, you know, portion of it. That's not part of what we're looking at, right?
With these proposals, would any of that parking, like Cooper Park, be affected? Because like, I live in West Miami and I still take my car to Cooper Park and my kids want to take bikes.
No, we definitely want to keep that. I mean, that parking there is great. So if anything, like you mentioned on 59th Avenue, enhancing that corridor to add on-street parking there as well. Because it's not just, you know, we were walking a project the other day, and there was an event at Somerset, and there was cars thrown everywhere. So, you know, it's not just Sylvania. So yeah, the need for on-street parking around the schools is a real thing, and we're looking at any opportunity we can to do that, aside from this project. That's kind of all I had on that. One other thing I just wanted to mention, kind of in the spirit of what we're doing with east-west connectivity, we have another little project that we're in the middle of planning now with the county, and that's adding another pedestrian crossing across 62nd Avenue. So right now, really, there's between 16th and 8th, there is nowhere to cross, or 9th right here at City Hall. So we'd like to add another kind of mid-block crossing. So around 13th Street, we're looking at putting in a crosswalk with kind of a protective median and so forth. So this study was completed. This has been submitted to the county for their review. So we're just waiting on approval for this.
Can I suggest that, and you guys, if you can, suggest that they put lighting, because like,
Yeah.
when we crossed on Halloween, like, even if there was a crosswalk there, it's so dark in some
Mhm.
sections that it's hard for them to see that there's like people crossing the street.
No, that's a good point. I think lighting was brought up. That's something that we, yeah. Yeah. Well, we're actually looking at doing that in all the traffic circles. We're looking at doing kind of the little flashing beacons that flash at night. Questions? We had a lot of those. Did everyone? Yeah.
I'm back again. Okay, so I've never done a petition before. Where would we begin for that? Because I'm all for it. If that's what we have to do to get the district and help with this process, I'm willing to knock on doors if I have to.
So I actually started one.
Okay,
A
tell us
week and a
more.
half ago, because I called Madison on notice.
Okay.
Who happens to be the neighbor of one of my old students, and I was talking to her for a while. Jennifer gave me her number. And, you know, Vivian suggested the petition. I didn't move forward with it because
the last thing I think I just had, well, I think that was it. I just had the questionnaire. If there was any questions on the questionnaire, we just kind of came up with a series of questions, try to get your feedback on what's important to you guys.
The only one thing you didn't touch upon
Mhm.
is the flooding.
Okay.
That takes place in I don't know the other neighborhoods that have flooding issues.
I think, I know you guys have some issues there in front of the school, and I think primarily it's due to kind of the condition of the right-of-way.
That's what I was gonna say,
Um,
it's like the street
yeah.
is here, and it's not like, we weren't getting flooding, but now that the parking, like, all that
So,
dirt is received.
so when this project does go forward, we're gonna completely rehab the entire road. So that'll include addressing any type of drainage issues. So the road will be, at a minimum, the road will be milled and resurfaced, so it'll be a nice even pavement. Any kind of drainage depressions would be resolved. Anytime we touch a roadway, we always kind of bring it up.
Can you share more information on the Loveland Trail and like where that stands?
Yeah, I don't have anything in particular. I do know they're about ready to start design on the full project. So it's the old rail corridor that's right on 72nd Avenue.
Will there be an entrance on 72nd onto that pathway?
Yeah.
Or are there homes there?
Yeah, at every, I don't know specifically on 16th, I would imagine so, because it's a half section that crosses. All the roads that cross that old rail corridor would have access to the trail. That's my understanding. And they're actually putting in pedestrian bridges as well across the main roads.
67 to 72, there would not be any of this applying to that zone.
Well, if we were to do something, then that would kind of force the county to build another link. It's not, it's only like 3 or 4 blocks. Yeah.
The speed meter that was installed in Cooper's Park, would you guys consider installing it on the way to school?
There actually is a permit right now under review for that, for adding another, I forget which one it is, but yes, it's another one of those kind of speed indicator things, yeah.
If you guys do direct more traffic, it's gonna see if you guys have to
Yeah.
for families that have children.
Sorry.
Point, I know you're not a traffic guy, so I hope that, but just so it's voiced, in this, I think it's so imperative to really mitigate on traffic situations. Like, I'm kind of like bewildered that instead of traffic that's decreased over time, I think in the last 8 years, I've only seen it increase, get faster, get more dangerous. I do think it'll be good, probably there'll be less accidents at that 63rd or 62nd, which there's like parents underneath there.
Yeah.
But it's very concerning hearing you say there's going to be an increase now in traffic.
Well, I didn't necessarily say that. The gentleman suggested that it would increase capacity. So, I mean, but,
I mean, right now,
maybe.
4 to 5 p.m., like, I can't get into my house.
Yeah. No, look, traffic has increased everywhere. There's no doubt.
Well, I mean,
So, yeah.
and I
Yeah.
get that, but
Yeah.
I just think that should be a really important part that we're thinking about for safety.
Yeah.
And also just like, how much we pay in our taxes, and I can't get into my driveway under rush hour.
Understood. Yeah. Well, look, I get it. I get it, but, also the point I was making is that, you guys live on 16th Street, so this is the wrong audience. But the reality is that you know, well, it's just your street. Yeah, it's your street. So I get it. But, yeah. I mean, the reality is you want traffic on the bigger roads. That's just the way the system's designed. So, I think with the measures that we'll put in, it will calm traffic. It's kind of a weird thing because, I'm an engineer, but traffic is like, voodoo to me. So when I talk to my traffic guys, it's going to increase capacity, but it actually does calm traffic. So,
Can I make another
Mhm.
comment? I mean, I found out about this through Instagram. I know it was on the sign, but like, until like you have to like actually be going at like a decent speed or stop. hear from the other neighbors. I think that to really get everyone's feedback, you guys should drop a flyer for the next meeting so that more people are aware. I texted our neighbors. People couldn't get childcare on time, like by the time all this happened. I think that more communication about something that's gonna impact basically the main street in our neighborhood, I think we all wanna know about it.
All right. No, I think that's a good point.
The survey's gonna be available electronically, online, or you could print, whatever, you could get it, email it to me, my information is available, so you could
Yeah,
get your
tell your
neighbors to
neighbors to
participate, to
participate,
fill
yeah.
out the survey. And this is just the first step, because we're putting in a proposal for the project. So when we get into more details, we will be doing more meetings to get input from more people. So this was put out like a couple of weeks ago, I think, or a week and a half ago, that we started advertising on the Instagram. It was on the meetings list on the website, but yeah, we didn't do a flyer. I didn't do a flyer. I just put it on those forms. But when if we get the funding and we're moving forward with actual designing, there will be additional meetings and input and everything. So,
When would you guys find out and get the funding?
grants take forever. Maybe I don't know. It takes months.
Yeah, this is
Sometimes
it's
it
a long
takes a year
process.
before they let you know. So it's through FDOT. So we'll hope, but we will keep everyone aware of what's going on and any updates. I thank you all so much for coming. I appreciate it. If you have questions, email me. My information is on there. There will be the survey available, so you could get your neighbors and friends to put in their opinion and their feedback. And thank you, everyone, for coming. I appreciate it.